Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast. This is the United Show. This is Devil's Advocate. I'm back from my hiatus here. So I'm back hosting the show here this lovely Monday evening. And the big one, it's Manchester United versus Chelsea this coming Thursday. So I said, look, I get myself a nice, good panel here to talk about the game. So I have Evan, I have Sean, I have Stu, and I have Wes. Here today, we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the protests coming up this Thursday. Also going to talk about the situation with Chelsea's ownership as well. And also we're going to talk about the Eric Ten Hag coming into Manchester United and kind of what that means. We're going to get the outside view on that. But first of all, Evan, it's been a while. Since you've been on.
Oh, sure. Look, I said I'm making an appearance back, so I did. Hey, look, I'll always be a part of this channel.
Absolutely. And it's good to have you back. But me and you, the last time we were on this channel, we were both hoping for bigger and better things for both for football clubs, but hasn't really come to fruition so far. But I suppose before I get to the lads kind of how they're feeling about the game and stuff like that, so I'll get their perspective from the two Chelsea fans. How are you feeling about your season so far and kind of how it's gone?
Like coming off the back foot now, it's not gone the way you'd hope to go. Like after winning the Champions League and all that crack, you'd be home for bigger and better things from what it is now. But look, we're still on the running for the FA Cup, and we're still looking comfortable in third position. So I think it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, you could be us at the moment. That's very, very true. Sean, good to have you back. We had a very good show the last time we were on the last preview. And again, both of us were in the mud in terms of score predictions that day. But just kind of on the back of the same question I asked Evan, are you kind of the same boat? Are you kind of 50-50 your season so far?
Yeah, look, I suppose in any normal season, it'll be disappointing. Obviously, the stuff going on off the fields, obviously the December cycle that we had with the injuries, the whole lot, when everything just fell apart. I'm kind of happy enough with the position we're in now, considering, like, all things considered, what's happening at the club. Like Evan said, could be a lot worse, could be out of top four. I think a lot of clubs would have been destroyed with what's going on off the fields. This year, it just fell asunder completely. I know we got knocked out of the quarterfinals of the Champions League, but we put in a mammoth effort in that second leg. Have gotten to a Carabao Cup final, FA Cup final to look forward to, and still in the top four. So I can't really ask for much more. Obviously, try and build on it now in the summer and hopefully get the new owner sorted as soon as possible.
Yeah, and that's something we're going to touch on there just very shortly in terms of kind of where Chelsea are in terms of their ownership, because obviously, the sanctions based on the club by the British government at the moment, obviously due to the Roman Abramovich situation. Obviously the club's been kind of left in limbo these kind of last couple of months. So we will touch on that briefly later on in the show. Stu, good to have you back.
Thank you.
We had a very in-depth conversation Saturday, we'll just say, about the Arsenal game.
Yeah.
How are you feeling since then?
Nothing's really changed, I'm afraid. Am I looking forward to Thursday? No. Do I think we can win? Possibly. Do I think Chelsea are beatable? Yes. But it's football, isn't it? At the end of the day, players, for whatever reason, can just suddenly turn up. It can all click. There are parts of the game on Saturday that we played very, very well. We looked at almost like a unit in some parts, although I think we got the personnel wrong. The problem we're going to have is Kovacic, I think, come Thursday night. He's the one that kind of knits Chelsea together at the minute. I think Conte, as good as he is, as good as he's been, he's probably not played his best football this season for whatever reason. I think Kovacic and possibly that poser Jorginho could probably give us the biggest difference. And I think but we've got to go with the mentality of victory, and that's not something we've shown all season. Really, we haven't turned up, crossed that white line, and gone to war as a unit, and we don't seem to have that mentality. But it might all change on Thursday because ridiculously, mathematically, we're still in with a shout. I mean, I can't quite get my head around how we would still be in with a shout, but if we lose on Thursday evening, then it's all over for sure. So, I look forward to any football match. I look forward to when I pull my own kit on and still play at my tender age. So let's see what happens Thursday. But still the same pretty much.
Yeah, look, not much has changed in my boat either about the game, but like thinking about it rationally, like especially that 25-minute period in the second half, we did play very well. It's probably the best we played in the last few weeks, really. But obviously the overall result was disappointing. And look, I did kind of go off my head about a couple of things happening in the game on the Arsenal side of things. But look, some things you can't do anything about, but you have to worry about your own performance. I think that's the most important thing.
We need to be a bit cuter, during the game during the match. We need to be a bit cuter. I mean, you've got to look at Chelsea, and I'll be targeting Azpilicueta if he plays. He's a decent defender, but he's got quite a bit of a hot head about him. You need to put the right player against him, get an early booking against him, and see what happens where it takes you. Which is exactly what we should have done with Xhaka on Saturday. But we lack that ruthlessness as a unit. We lack that that common sense type of football. Which is unbelievable to me. And we need to kind of readopt a type of football, not a flowing style, but a disruption. We need to go in there and start disrupting Chelsea. If we can disrupt Chelsea, if we can niggle Kovacic, if we can niggle the likes of Azpilicueta, maybe Rudiger if he plays, because Rudiger's got a hot head, you've got a chance, but you've got to be cute on how you do it. And we just aren't cute enough as a unit. So that's another thing that we could have done on the weekend.
Yeah, definitely could have been more streetwise, I think, in certain situations. 100%, I agree. Wes, you were there at the Emirates the weekend. Obviously, from your point of view, sitting in the stands, what was your overall thoughts on the performance?
I echo what Stu said, really. There were spells in the game where we looked like a unit and we actually played some of our best football in recent months, which with United at the moment, you go into games, you don't know what United you're going to get. You're going to get the terribly, terribly, terribly bad United, or you're going to get the just terrible United. We've not lit up the league or dominated a football match this season from what I can remember, really. You can go back as far as first game of the season, Leeds. There was a 20-minute spell where, we didn't dominate the game. Leeds away, there was a 2-minute spell where we didn't dominate, and this season it's just been very unpredictable as to what team are going to turn up. But I focused on the positives from Saturday. I thought we played some good football in certain spells of the game, and I thought we were a bit unlucky with certain decisions that were made. Ultimately, officiating, I'm not going to totally use it as an excuse this season, but throughout the league, through other games, you only had to watch the Merseyside derby on Sunday. Officiating has been very poor this season, and obviously that's a growing concern. But in terms of Thursday, like Stu said, if Chelsea beat the ball, I think they are, but it all depends on what they come up against. I think if they come up against the United that went to Everton, Goodison Park, we'll lose, and we'll be lucky to lose 3 or 4. But if we have a bit of fight about us, like we did in the spells at Arsenal, and can manage to dictate a bit of play, especially having the home advantage as well, we might be able to get a result. But you don't know what United are going to turn up, so it can go either way, really. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that, really.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's certain elements. I think if you look at the way Chelsea play in midfield, obviously you have like Kante and Kovacic in there who are very robust. So they get about the pitch, they win the ball back quickly, they're very aggressive. I know Stu called him a poser, but I actually quite like Jorginho. I know Sean, I've seen a couple of tweets recently kind of about Jorginho in terms of the way he plays, but against a team like United, I think Jorginho would be key to Chelsea being that kind of third midfielder in terms of picking out passes and breaking the lines. I think Jorginho would be good for that in this type of game. It'd be interesting to see kind of what midfield Chelsea go with, which we will expand on kind of later on the podcast, in terms of kind of how they'll set up. But Evan, yesterday you had a late win against West Ham in the Premier League. What was your overall thoughts just on your performance there, and kind of, there's been, I suppose, in the last couple of weeks your performances and the results have been up and down recently. Would you attribute that to kind of what's going on off the field? Do you think there's a lot going on in the football club that maybe, playing with kind of players' performances could that possibly have an effect?
It would have a mental effect, like, players wondering, what's going to happen, like money wise and wages wise, and like at the end of the day, they have Tuchel there to reassure them, and like they're there to play ball. So, as they say, play until you hear the whistle. But like the performance of the overall match, it was lacking, and you could see that from a mile away. It was lacking. It was poor, slow, pasty kind of ball work, and it was only by the Captain America himself that we snagged the win. I think that red card really helped us. But there's something there that needs to pick up big time, and if it doesn't soon, we're just gonna fall into a hole. So,
Sean, Evan said there that something needs to pick up soon. Obviously, you're still in third position at the minute. You're in the top four, 62 points. Is it 62, 63 points you're on at the minute? Spurs are obviously in fifth on 58. Are you worried that at this stage of the season that your kind of form kind of slipping in and out in this kind of stage of the season, that is this coming at a really bad time? Or do you think, obviously, would like Lukaku come back in the team, come back into form, that this could maybe help you going forward?
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about, definitely not worried about dropping out, because we only need 7 points out of the remaining 21 to be guaranteed top four. That's granted that Arsenal have to play Spurs. Just in terms of, I suppose, the bad form and how we're playing at the moment, I think the biggest issue in it is the fact that we're in third. We're fairly comfortable ahead of fourth. I think there's a bit of complacency there within the team now, and the biggest killer was the results at the Bernabeu, getting knocked out so late. I think that just put a bit of a dampener on the squad, and the fact that I know we have an FA Cup final still to play, but I have a feeling that they think they're comfortable there in third, and that game just deflated them. So I think that's a lot of the reason behind the performances the last few weeks. The first 70 minutes, I think, of that West Ham game was so flat. Both, like, West Ham, in fairness to West Ham, you could see by the lineup that they put out that they weren't going full belted, that they had the Europa League. They were just playing for a draw, I think. But Chelsea were so flat, they had no urgency. And I'm just putting it down to the fact that the position that we are in and the way we got knocked out of the Champions League. That's what I think the reason behind it is. Look, in terms of Lukaku, my opinion on him after the interview that he gave and the performances he had throughout the year. I suppose there's the last few games in the league here is his chance to put a run of form together and get his name back out there and get himself back into Tuchel's plans ahead of pre-season. I know there's a lot of talk of him leaving, but sometimes it's going to be hard to shift a player on wages like that and the fee that you're going to be looking for him. So, look, at the best he can do is just try and put a run of form together and get himself back in there, I think.
Yeah, especially the fact that, you mentioned it quite rightly, the fact that the fee you've just paid for him and the fact that it was a 4 or 5 year contract, that he would have signed that point in time. Like, I think it's going to be hard to get rid of him, not unless Conte goes PSG, maybe then Lukaku comes in there.
Yeah, the only positive, I think, is the change of ownership. If Rowan was still there, you don't get rid of Lukaku. The fact that new owners come in there and it's not actually who they bought, maybe they might cut losses at a higher rate. They might accept a slightly less fee, and that's the only kind of chance that we have of getting rid of this summer. I think if you get a 50 or 60 million offer, we paid 98 for him. If they can take 50 or 60, it's the only way you'll shift him. I think you'll have to cut losses on.
If you're judging off current form this season, I think it's going to be hard to get rid of him. Like, not less as you said, like 50 or 60 million pound offer goes in there, or like if you look at maybe Conte going to PSG, Mbappe going the other way, like that could potentially there'll be an option if that happens. But still, from the outside looking in at Chelsea at the minute, what are your thoughts kind of on the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, Chelsea are unusual. They're like a P&O ferry at the minute. They can't get out of the port. I don't quite know what's happened and why they're stuck in this rut. It's really quite strange. But I am hoping, and I know guys have touched on Lukaku, I'm hoping Lukaku plays on Thursday night because he's the type of player that if Maguire comes back in, he will relish that physical battle. What we can't do with, and I don't think what we'll be able to cope with, and I know the Chelsea lads will probably grin at me here, is the likes of Timo Werner. His movement and Havertz's movement, they're a bit of a Mason Mount. They will be a problem for our back four. So we need Lukaku to be up front for us because there's something Maguire likes. He's really good in the air, but he likes a bit of a scrap. He likes to know where his centre forward is at any one time. And Lukaku, as good as he is, he'll back in. He'll try and disrupt our two centre halves. He's not bad on the turn because he's a very, very strong player. But Maguire likes that type of thing. I think if we get Werner, we get Mount, we get Havertz, I think we could be in for a long night, especially if Pulisic comes on as well, because he's just a dangerous type of player when he's on.
Like that one.
Yeah, he's got that.
Funny enough, I actually have him starting. I think he's a starter.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. He hasn't always started this season, has he? So I was kind of going on. Mm-hmm. But he's a very dangerous player on his day. I think when he's not on his day, he's quite a predictable type of player. But when he's on his day, he's very, very unpredictable and he can be quite dangerous. What we've got to do, which is ridiculous at home, we've got to do something. We've got to play something. It's very, very similar to West Ham. We've got to be quite aggressive and be on the front foot. I'm not saying press every single yard on the pitch because we can't. We can't seem to do that, but just press the space better and make sure that our spatial awareness when we've got the ball and when we haven't got the ball is better than what it has been recently. And for me, I'd bring an old foe back in. I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. I'll bring Mata back in. I think we need that guile as a 10 and I'd have Bruno in as an 8. We know Pogba's on his last legs. As good as Jorginho and Kovacic and Kante are, they're not really rapid in there. They're not really quick. So if you have a Matic in there, or depending on whether he brings Fred back, perhaps, we just need to do something to just disrupt your middle three. But my favourite would be Lukaku above the likes of Werner, above the likes of Havertz, because I think Lukaku is a more of a static striker and it's better for our two centre halves at the minute, especially De Gea, by the way, lads, because I don't want to keep babbling on about travelling distance between the goal line and the 18-yard box where De Gea allows the travelling distance. Lukaku won't get in there and won't do that in terms of pace. He might try and drift in there, but someone who's 6'4", built like whatever, you can track him a bit easier. So Lukaku would be my favourite.
We said that in the last podcast, like me, Sean, are on here.
I said
the exact same things to you. I was like, I'd rather Lukaku up against Maguire than Havertz or Werner because obviously their pace, their movement. We've seen this season when Maguire's played against like Jota, Phil Foden, when they've played in that little hole, we've seen him struggle. Like I worry if Kai Havertz played there, like his movement, dropping in stuff like that. That would absolutely tear back four asunder.
See, the thing is now, I think Lukaku paves the way. If Tuchel goes and puts Lukaku up front, I think he builds pace around him. Lukaku paves the way there, bringing your Maguire and whoever is beside him out of the game altogether. And like you said, Maguire wants that physical battle. I think Maguire cycles himself out. Fouls all day. I think there's fouls there to be had all day off Maguire.
Yeah, I can see what you said.
That speed around Lukaku, I think it'll pave a way for goal chances all day.
I don't think Lukaku's got that. He's not bad at holding up, but I don't think he's got that real hold up play. We know he's going to take it on his left foot because he's all left foot, isn't he? So so as a central defender, you know what he's going to do. So you just slightly go to the left of him, so you allow him the right, so that if he does want to turn, he's got to almost turn 180 degrees to get around you, in which case all you got to do is just stick your arm across and you should be able to at least not stop him because you're not going to stop, what is he, 15 stone or whatever, but you should be able to prevent him from getting around you. That's what a cute centre half would do.
You need to remember it's Maguire you're talking about here.
Well,
and that's no offence to Maguire, but going off his recent performance, I see fouls all day here.
Well, I accept that, but Wes is a match going fan like myself and Keane, and the problem with Maguire is, and I'll be really quick about this, is our fullbacks. It's not just Maguire; it's our fullbacks. The reason that our fullbacks are out of position, he's pulling Maguire, Lindelof, and Varane across. That's our main issue. We need our fullbacks to be more static, and if our fullbacks are more static, I'm not saying we play a flat back four and a static flat back four, and actually that would work against you because we would have to drop a little bit deeper if you are playing the likes of Pulisic and Werner off Lukaku. And there's the issue. And of course, the other problem we got is the travelling distance, as I keep saying, between De Gea and Maguire. So that's why he's not had his best type of game. But the best types of players he likes a big, static, strong. I'm not saying Lukaku's static because he isn't, but he likes that type of player that you can see. The thing about Lukaku is if you're a cute centre half, you can see him out your corner of the eye all the time. You know, as long as you know where he is, as long as you can almost predict where he's going to take the ball, it gives you a fighting chance. But I accept what you're saying, and I do, because all you're talking about is him holding it and spraying, and I do get that. But that would mean
I
our
can see
fullbacks.
Lukaku just opening up that path, dragging Maguire out, and just paving a way for whoever's in behind with that pace.
Yeah, could potentially happen.
Yeah.
Wes, in terms of obviously, Stu briefly just mentioned is the return of Fred. Looks like Fred could actually be back in this game this Thursday. One of Fred's best performances this season actually came at Stamford Bridge. Now we all know the sitter he missed that day, but other than that, his performance, was top notch that day. Him and Jadon Sancho probably are our two best players on that day. And that, like, since then we've seen Fred gradually improve these kind of last couple of months. Do you think Fred could be a key player for us this week? If he's back.
I think not just for this week. I think for the foreseeable future. If I'm honest with you, I think Fred has been arguably our best player this season. He's improved massively. Technically, he's better on the ball. I think he's always had it, but I think given the sides that he has played in, and he's not really played in apart from McTominay, he's not really played in a settled midfield. I think, if you took Fred out of United and put him in Man City, you'd see an even better player again, because that's the style of football that, Fred wants to play. For me personally, if he's available, I play him, because as Stu touched upon earlier, this game is arguably the last straw. We have to, if our best players are available, they have to play. But for me, going forward, as I said, Fred's going to be massive for us, and I think personally he'll thrive under the new manager as well. But yeah, I think he'll be vitally important, especially for his energy in midfield, because Fred's quite tenacious as well. He's probably the only player that, putting McTominay aside, does dish it out a little bit in midfield. I've said it before, we're a nice team to play against. It's like playing a testimonial going to Old Trafford at the moment. Nobody kicks anyone. It's embarrassing sometimes. And, I'm old school. I like to see players, first 5 minutes, smash into your centre half, smash into your full back, let him know you're there, mark your territory, call him what you want, tell him if he comes near you again, you're going to do this, that, and the other to him, But we don't do that. We're very nice, and we're, But for me, Fred, like I said, he's tenacious. He's a good footballer. He's had a lot of stick. But he's been one of our most important players this season. And I think that if he is available, he should play. And hopefully he sticks one on that Jorginho as well.
And do you know what? I think with that as well, I think with Fred, maybe under Solskjaer, he played a bit deeper than he has under Ralph. Like, Ralph's let him play more in a kind of in an 8, kind of in a box-to-box role, whereas Solskjaer had him playing as a 6, where he did, like, when we signed him from Shakhtar Donetsk, he predominantly played actually at number 10, which is mad. Like, and then he switched from that to basically playing as a kind of a 6 under Mourinho, 6 under Solskjaer. Now, under Ralph, then he seems to be playing more advanced.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why every time he plays for Brazil, he's pretty much either man of the match or there or thereabouts, and that's because when he plays for Brazil, he plays further forward. Fred's not a 6. He's not a 6. He's too good to be a 6. He's technically he's a very good footballer. But you put him as an 8, and you see massive improvement. I don't know if you boys watch Brazil at all, but every time he plays for Brazil, he looks Brazilian. When you play him as a 6 for United, he don't look Brazilian. But I think that's purely because of where he's been played and the instructions that he's been given. But further forward, if you play Fred as an 8, you get a lot better and much improvement with Fred. But the problem is we've got so many players that want to play in that position. It's like Bruno Fernandes, for me personally, is much better as an 8 than a 10. There's a lot of competition in the team for that. But, as I said, if this season is anything to go off, I don't think the new manager is going to have any reason to take Fred out of this team at the moment because he's an important player for us.
Do you want to say something there, Sean? Just there?
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, just when you're on about describing Fred, I just said he's in the mold of a Kante. Really, I think if you play him higher up the field, just leave him press the opposition and win the ball and recycle. That's exactly what I thought Fred was like. So.
Yeah, he's one of these players as well that for me, that every time he puts on the shirt, and this is the bare minimum that you ask for as a football supporter and as a match-going fan, is that you want to see effort. You want to see someone who's going to actually work hard. It doesn't matter if they're having the world's worst game ever, right? I played as a striker, and there were games where I was absolute dog shit, and I was just not involved or I was playing crap, But I countered that by working hard, and sometimes that's enough because the running that you do might complement other players and bring out the best of them, and it might get you a result, So, yeah.
100%. I think, look, when you see in a number of positions this season, a number of players in the United shirt especially, there's been a lack of commitment and lack of the basics, basically. No means still forever talk about players just doing the basics. And United players aren't doing that at the minute. And look, when we dive into the tactical side now in a few minutes, we'll talk about 11s and who we'd like to see play. Personally, there's a little surprise in my 11 anyway, who I'd like to see in midfield. We're talking about hard work and being a bastard. There's one fella in that midfield who I want to come in there this week. But just with regards to, obviously, Wes, I'm going to come back to you on this. I'm going to go to get the lads' opinions on their ownership situation in a sec. Obviously, you were at the last game, last home game against Norwich, and we're 1958, and done a fantastic job with the protest, and we seen do a great turnout, and they look like they're mobilising and doing, I suppose, representing the match going fan in terms of making a stand against the Glazer ownership, and just in terms of how the protests are going and kind of, I suppose, the lack of communication since last year, since they said they were going to get the fan share scheme going and obviously make more communication with fans. Obviously, that's been non-existent at the minute. So, what's your thoughts on kind of what the 1958 are doing and kind of making a stand against the owners?
Yeah, I support it totally, fully. It's for me the Manchester United supporters trust have let the fans down. They've not delivered on their side of things. Neither the Glazer family. There were promises made that haven't been fulfilled, and I think that Manchester United fans have been patient for long enough now. And for people looking from the outside in, you get a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's because you're crap and it's because results have not gone your way." Okay, that does factor into some of it, but the problems go a lot deeper at Manchester United Football Club. Financially, the club is being absolutely drained of money. It's toxic. There's been decisions that have been made to give players contracts. There's been signings made that haven't worked. We've spent badly, and we've just completely disregarded everything that goes with operating as a proper football club. I believe we're one of the only clubs in Europe that doesn't have a director of football. We've got bankers and stock exchange professionals making decisions about the football team, and everything about it is just completely wrong. And as I said, I've got all the utmost respect and total support for what the 1958 are doing. It's better late than never, but I'm really glad that a group of individuals have come together to try and make this happen, and to get this group together and to try and get our football club back. And I think that it just needs to be consistent now. I didn't go in till the 17 minutes. I wish we didn't have to go in at all. I'd be quite happy to stand outside Old Trafford if 20,000-30,000 people also were doing it. But we just need to not take our foot off the gas with this now, because I think it's the right thing to be doing, and hopefully we can put a few pressures on decisions hopefully we have seen a few decisions being made, such as potentially a director of football coming in now. There were a few sackings in regards to global scouts recently as well. So, I don't trust them as of yet, but hopefully we're going in the right direction and we're making noise that can influence change in the club because it's badly needed.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with Jen. Look, to be fair, to see what they're doing in terms of this, and the fact that there's a large number of people getting behind this, because look, it's well documented. We did see a protest a couple of months ago that, unfortunately, look, to be fair, only a small number of people turned up, and again, it wasn't properly organized. I'm glad to see now that there's an organization, behind this, and there's names to it, and obviously, look, there's a large number of people, getting behind it. Whereas, when it's one person, the last protest that was organized was a Ollie out protest. It wasn't a Glazers protest. When they were called out, that was an Ollie out protest. Then they said, "Oh, it's a Glazer protest." We know that's about, So, to see that now that it's a natural protest against the Glazers, and we're seeing consistency, and as you said, there's a large number of people, getting behind it, and obviously respectable people as well. That's what we like to see, and hopefully, as you said, Wes, it is consistent and it is kept up. And again, I think this game against Chelsea, especially, is going to be a largely televised game. There's going to be a massive worldwide audience. Whereas the Norwich game, it was during the 3:00 blackout, and it still got even with the 3:00 blackout, it still got massive media attention. So, with this being televised this week, I dare to say that there'd be a massive emphasis on it this week and more notice.
Do you know what, Keith? One thing I will say about it as well is I'm glad that it's being done in a respectful way.
Yeah.
There was no trouble. There were no arrests. There was no fighting. There was no violence. It was done in a manner that was respected by the police. Because there were actually a few police officers who were singing along with the chants as well that United fans were singing, because ultimately there's probably a few United fans in there too, aren't there? So, I take my hat off to the 1958 and what they're doing, and as you guys will as well, totally support the movement at the moment, and hopefully we can, like I said, keep it consistent and keep it going.
100%. I 100% agree. Stu, in terms of this, obviously, there has been movement now, and it seems to be something that's going to be prolonged between now and the end of the season in terms of all the home games. Obviously, Wes mentioned, there's been 2 sackings in the scouting department, and now there's also talk of Paul Mitchell coming into Man United as well. Are you still skeptical of this ownership, though? Because obviously, to be fair, it looks like Richard Arnold is kind of leaving all the football side to football people by the looks of things, unlike Ed Woodward did previously. Do you think, is it a case that we have to wait and see with this? And do you think, even regardless of what they're doing, these protests should be ramped up anyway?
Well, look, I have the same feelings as Wes and probably yourself with regards to the protests. It's the right thing to do. Whether or not Richard Arnold, excuse me, changes the way that the club is run, I think he will do, and I think he will allow football people to make the footballing decisions. Excuse me. The biggest problem we've got moving forward, and here's where I like the 1958 group. I like how it's done peacefully, but I can't see an end to it. And the reason is Chelsea have changed the way that football, the landscape of football, twice now. They changed it in 2003 when Abramovich came in and started spending millions on transfer fees. And they're about to change it again for the worst. This is going to be a real problem for football clubs moving forward. Because Abramovich bought Chelsea for, I think, it was about 140, 150 million quid. He's now about to sell it, or the club is about to be sold for 3 billion quid. Okay, and this is Chelsea you're talking about, which means Manchester United are going to have a face value sale of about 5 billion quid, which means when you factor everything into it, and whoever comes in and buys it, and it'll have to be a consortium, and when they look to sell it in 5, 6, 7 years, you're looking at 8 billion quid. Now, who's going to invest 8 billion quid in a football club? Nobody. Chelsea are worth probably no more than 1.2 billion at the moment in the current marketplace. If you look at what's happening, forget Man City because their figures are overinflated. They mean nothing. Forget Barcelona. Forget Real Madrid. If you're talking real time money, there's Manchester United and there's Chelsea and Liverpool right now that are the valuable commodities in English football. And so again, if Chelsea is sold at 3, Manchester United can be sold at 5. Who's going to invest 5 billion without wanting to get any kind of return? 0. So herein lies the problem. We should protest, and we should continue to protest, and we should continue to do it, until the end of the season, until the end of next season, the end of the following season. It doesn't matter. It's who is going to come in with 5 billion quid. It's the only question. And then look at the sell-on value. It's just a business. Football is a business now, and it's a business decision.
Sorry, Stuart. Sorry, I was going to chime in there, but if you're
go on.
If the plan is to sell it, like it's going to be sold. Like if you want to get rid of something and you want to sell it, you're saying that face value of 8 billion when a deal comes to sell it, it's going to drop. If no one comes in for that 8 billion, they're going to drop it down 7.5, 7, 6, 6.5, all that crack. So like if they're going to definitely want it sold,
you don't have to sell. Yeah, the problem is you don't have to sell. Chelsea are only in this position because of what's happening. So you're being forced to sell. Now, Abramovich can't hold out, and this is why I cannot believe any kind of serious businessman is coming in with 3 billion quid. It should be 1.2, 1.5, take it or leave it. But hey, look, you had 10 consortiums coming at 2+ bill, and I get all of that. Our problem with the Glazers is they don't have to sell. And so whoever comes in, and just say somebody does slap 5 bill on the table and the Glazers say, brilliant, because don't forget the Glazers will walk away with 3 bill profit here, completely with 3 billion. Abramovich has written off 1.5, hasn't he? 1.4, 1.5, something like that. So our owners will walk away with 3 billion quid. But when you're investing 5 bill, whoever it is, you are going to have to see a similar return on your investment. And I don't see any football club being worth 8 billion quid. That's all I'm saying. And where's you're a businessman, exactly, what I'm talking about. And that's unfortunately the harsh reality we're facing right now. Because of the Chelsea sale. The Chelsea sale's about to change the face of football again. It's weird that you guys have done it twice.
It's like the way I'm thinking is not only the money, but the fact that Abramovich has gotten sanctioned, they're surely going to have to tighten down on the ownership and director test now. If United sell in a few years, like you said, for 4 or 5 billion, that's surely going to rule out any state money, Saudi money. And you're going to be kind of left, I suppose, with a consortium or another leveraged buyout like the Glazers done. That's the only people that are going to be able to afford it.
100%. It will be leveraged. 100%. Yeah.
And obviously, you can't get much worse than the Glazers, so it's probably going to be better than them. But how much better is the question?
I don't know. And so I suppose all I'm trying to say is as good as the 1958 and as honourable as it is, and I think it should be done, where can we find this person? I mean, the benefit, the conglomerate or consortium, that's likely to win yours. There's got about 10 investors, hasn't it? From what I could gather, small investors up to billionaires. From what I understand,
your pool of fish that can so-called buy your club is how many people have that money. And then the question of how many of them people want to actually buy the club or invest that money.
Yeah, that's right.
They're the two questions you're going to have to ask yourselves.
Yeah, and that's why, as much as I'm on board with the 1958, maybe we need to look at it a different way about how we work with the Glazers. I don't know. It's not a note of caution. It's another alternative. Yeah.
That's a fair way of looking at it, to be fair. Wes, I do understand you do have to jump. So just before you go, can I just get your score prediction just for Thursday's game?
Come on, Wes.
If he plays, really, I think if Lukaku plays, I think we got a chance. But
be real here now. Be real.
I'm gonna go 2-2.
Good score.
That's positive. That's
Yeah, I'm
he's
gonna
on
go.
for a
I'm
match.
gonna go 2-2 because I saw the Chelsea game against West Ham. They were very flat. It was sort of. I looked at it. I think a lot of players have got their minds on the FA Cup final. If I'm honest with you, I think that obviously Chelsea are probably going to finish third. I don't think they'll drop out the top four. So I think players are going to not want to get injured for the cup final. And I don't think they'll be as intense as what they would be if they were fighting for top four and they weren't in the cup final. So I think we've got a chance, but I'm going 2-2.
That's fair. And look, Wes, to be fair, if it's an entertaining game, I've no doubt in Old Trafford you'll be delighted coming out of there on Thursday. But Wes, thanks very much for coming on. I do really do appreciate you coming on this evening,
Yeah,
and
no
it'll be
worries,
good to have
guys.
you again.
See you later,
Yeah,
Wes.
no worries.
Wes.
Take
No,
care,
Wes,
lads.
thanks.
Cheers.
Have a good one, pal.
Cheers.
Bye.
Ta-ra, pal.
So, just before we get to kind of more tactical setup, because I know that Stu loves that. Stu loves the tactical battle, and I know we're going to dive into that just later on in the show. But Sean, I want to come to you first in terms of we briefly touched on the Chelsea kind of situation in terms of the sanctions that have happened, and kind of, obviously that's taking, like, on any football club, will take its toll regardless of kind of how much quality you have in the team. How is the ownership situation at the minute? Because obviously there's loads of different people coming in. I know you spoke the other day about Lewis Hamilton and Serena Williams. Obviously there's talks about that. Like Lewis Hamilton being an Arsenal fan, I don't know how that would work. But what's the status of kind of the bids for Chelsea at the minute? And is the case, are we looking at this deal being done anytime soon, or could this drag on into the summer?
Yeah, look, Lewis Hamilton's Lewis Hamilton. Doesn't matter that he's an Arsenal fan. I can't stand him. But
Well, saying that, there is an article saying that he was forced to kind of support Arsenal growing up, like, so. I don't know if he's a true Arsenal fan now, but
so so basically it looks like the end is near anyway. There's 3 bidders left. It looks like Todd Bowley's is the favourite. That's what I wanted. Like, obviously, to start, I wanted the Saudis, but as we learn more about their bid later on, it wasn't as good as we made it out it could be. So from there on, it was Todd Bowley I wanted. Judging by Paul Cannibale's release today, he spoke to all the bidders. The favourites are Todd Bowley, and he's with Hans-Jörg Weiss, who's Swiss, and most of the capital there is from a private equity firm. So they are leading the race. Then you have Stephen Pagliuca in second. He is a 55% owner of Atalanta in Italy, and he also owns Boston Celtics. So his bid is supposedly fairly solid too. And then you have Martin Broughton in third. He is the one that Lewis Hamilton and Serena Williams have become involved with. As I know, Paul Cannibal didn't really like that bid because a lot of that, the plan is to go with cryptocurrency. They want to make money through crypto and fund Chelsea through that, which it's not viable at all, I don't think. It's extremely volatile. So they're hoping to have a new owner picked by the end of April. So that will be just elected. So that's in the next week. So they'll be selected, and obviously they have to go through the director tests and the whole lot. So it'll probably be the end of May, and we'll have the new owners and everything in place, which cuts it fairly fine. As you can see with the Rudiger situation, he's already gone. It came out just before this that one of the 3 prospective owners was going to keep him at all costs. So that's gone out the window now. Rudiger's gone. So that's going to be probably 2 centre-backs needed in the summer. It'll eat into the summer budget. So, look, a lot of people will probably say be careful what you wish for, because we had it very good at Roman. But if Bowley runs us the way he runs Lakers and the Dodgers, it's similar enough to the way Liverpool are run. I know Liverpool don't have a very high spend, but the scouting systems, the data, the whole lot, it's working for Liverpool. If you can have that there and it replaces the system that we currently have, like Chelsea, I think out of all the clubs in England, they've probably had the most flops, I think, in the last 15, 20 years for the money they paid for players. Our scouting.
I'd raise you Man United with that, but okay,
yeah, it's very close.
I'll leave you have that one.
It's very close, but like in terms of scouting and buying players, we're really badly run at the moment. It's just we're lucky that we had so much money under Roman, and he was willing to throw money at it. As Stu pointed out earlier on, he's written off 1.5 billion in debt. So look, it could be a fresh start if we can invest money smartly. Look, we're not going to be the Chelsea as Chelsea before, but I'm hoping if they do build a new, like, real redo the stadium, get revenues in, new sponsorships and everything, we'll still have money there to spend. I'm probably hoping for a big summer this summer. New owners looking to make a mark. I'm thinking this summer will probably be our only big summer under them. After that, it'll just be buy as you sell. But yeah, look, I'm not too pessimistic about it. I think it could be good to have a fresh start and a change, and hopefully we'll see a change within the scouting. And if we get a director of football in, like you've been talking about earlier on, looks like Paul Mitchell is going to be taking over at United as a director of football. If we can get someone in like that, it could be a good thing.
Yeah, like obviously the two clubs that are in for kind of, well, their perspective we talked about on the Athletic in terms of Mitchell was Chelsea and United. Personally, I hope we win that race. Like if we can get him working with Ten Hag and Ralph Ragnick, I think that could be a very good mix of football people there at the football club. Obviously, Chelsea Marina, people I know from reading certain Chelsea fans on Twitter, like people, there's obviously mixed opinion about her. To be fair, I think she's a shrewd operator from what I've seen from the outside. That's probably, you probably know more than me in terms of how
it's her issue. Yeah. So like that's what I mean. Like we need someone in beside her. She's probably the best negotiator in world football. Unbelievable at that, but she's not there for the football side of it, and we don't have anyone there to help her with that. So that's the big issue there. But look, supposedly she's staying for this summer. The owners are going to come in and keep everything as it is for this summer. Whatever targets that we had there or whatever scout we've done, they'll look to pick up those targets, and then it's next year on. We'll see. Supposedly Marina will be gone.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And Joe, I suppose on the I suppose board level of Chelsea, kind of, well, because I suppose the last 15 years we've kind of had Roman Abramovich, and that's all they've had really. Obviously, and that's probably it'd be a massive change compared to what you're used to. So it'd be interesting to see kind of what happens in these next kind of, I won't say immediately, I'll say in the next 18 months, because I think a lot of things structurally will have to move, and it won't happen straight away. We all know that big football clubs, it's not something that happens overnight. And just want to say that to the United fans who are listening to this, probably,
you need settling in time.
Yeah, you need time to settle in, because like when there's new structure, people need to find their feet. The scouting network has to get going. It's all different faces working together. They have to get to know each other as well, and they need to kind of, obviously build. So like with any network, any operation, and new board members, it takes time to build. Patience will be key for not only United with their structural changes, but Chelsea as well. Like there is going to be a lot of rebuilding to be done. But to be fair, both clubs, I think that's going for both clubs in a minute, is they both have a very good pool of young players that can help them in that kind of in that time period where, with their restructuring, let's say if they need to go scouting for, let's say, 12 to 18 months, and they've new ideas. Some of their young players, like even Chelsea, and their transfer ban, they brought in Mount, didn't they? Brought in Tomori, they brought in Tammy Abraham, those players from their academy like that, and they have a few good young defenders out on loan as well. So like Sean mentioned about buying centre backs, they have young defenders coming back, and you still have Thiago Silva, who still plays like 25-year-old. So like, you know what I mean? Like they still have they still have good defenders there. So like, it'd be interesting to see kind of what happens. But before, obviously, we just touch on, I suppose, the game itself and kind of how we feel like it's going to go, because I know Evan beside me is very confident. He just always is, regardless of what game.
It's the smug. It's the smugness. Like,
yeah,
can't help it.
Level-headed fan with Sean, then you have the smug one with Evan. So I like that mix. Me and Stu are just, we just want bastards playing for us. That's all we want. We want to go to the days where we just want absolute bastards playing for us and dying for the shirt. That's literally what we are. But Evan want me to bring up this point on the podcast, Stu. Evan wants us to do a combined 11. I'm just going to say this straight out to you, Stu. I think only two Man United players at this moment in time getting to the Chelsea team.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, look, a combined 11. Crikey,
I think the only two on my side that I give out of United that I'd argue for is Ronaldo and Sancho. Other than that,
that's who I was going to pick. I'd have picked Ronaldo and Sancho. Yeah, unfortunately, that's all we've got.
The only reason Sancho would have an argument in there if you're playing for the wingers, but that all depends on what formation you're going with. As for Ronaldo, there is a point there to be made, and I know I was talking with Keane over Messenger during the day there, and I was kind of giving him a bit of a scare there, saying Ronaldo might be in my 11, but I like Havertz up top is what works for us, and
let's pick the
Right,
formation
so go on,
right now.
pick formation. So
I go 3-4-3.
You'd have
Well-
to play 3-4-3. Yeah, you would.
well, then Sancho does get a shout, but
Yeah.
does Ronaldo fit in with the? Would Ronaldo fit in with the way Chelsea play? That's the thing. He's a
You need
soul.
to finish.
He's a lone ranger.
Think about the amount of chances you miss. Then that's no disrespect. Think about like that's no disrespect, right? You've Cristiano Ronaldo in your team. You've extra goals in that team without doubt. I think. If you look at his conversion rate in this shit United team.
Yeah,
Don't
we've
get me
got
wrong.
what?
He's a world class player, like. But
I mean, he
I
scored
just
22 goals in our team. 22 in 30 games. He scored 22 goals, and
Now think about this: if you have Reece James and Chilwell pumping crosses into his head,
Can we
Well,
get
I'm
Chilwell back?
Well,
We
I'm
need to
quite
get him back
glad.
badly.
I'm quite glad you'll be playing Alonso on Thursday evening because he's the one you can get at. Alonso's the one you can get at down the right. James is the biggest problem for us. All right, your left.
definitely.
James is a big problem for us on the your right or left, especially if Tellez plays, which is going to because Shaw's.
Well, any fullbacks do, to be fair, I think.
Well, yeah, but Alonso, you can get at Alonso. What you can't do, he's quite dangerous in the final third, and that's a big issue for us. So you're gonna have to stick Aaron Wan-Bissaka in there from our point of view, just to. Although he wouldn't do, but I'd clean Alonso out in Rose Ed early doors. I'd get rid as quickly as I possibly could, and I would make him think about coming anywhere near me. That's what I would try and do. And there's still a place for this in modern day football, but unfortunately, we just got a bunch of girls who play for us. We've got no absolute aggression like that. Is it Kovacic will stick his foot in? Jorginho will stick his foot in when he's not hop, skipping and jumping. Kante will stick his foot in if he plays. Mason Mount will dig a bit. Werner not so much. Lukaku, well. We had that problem with him anyway. For a big lad, he's just an absolute girl's blouse, isn't he? He really is for a big lad. But you've got Rudiger, strong centre half. You've got commanding goalkeeper in Mendy. James, quick fullback. Azpilicueta, I think you can get at him. I think you could really bother Azpilicueta. As Ronaldo, I'll be in his ear, kicking him, treading on his toes, really getting him, angry and aggressive. We just don't do the nasty side of football.
Yeah. 100%, I agree. And some of these players just don't have it in them, really, don't they? Not. And this is where I hope Ten Hag does an overhaul, but just the case, like obviously, it doesn't happen overnight. I think we're still going to be stuck with some of these same conversations next season. Right, and again, we all know it's not the manager we to blame, but hi ho. But anyway, we'll stick to this combined 11. Anyway, we'll go 3. I think we all agree on a 3-4-3 formation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say if for the United players, I think you'd have to go for a 3-4-3.
3-4-3. We're all agreement on the goalkeeper.
Well, De Gea doesn't get it for me. De Gea doesn't get it for me because he doesn't control the area. He's a great shot, but that's as far as it goes. He doesn't control the area. So, yeah.
Yeah, I go Mendy straight away anyway.
Yeah, Mendy's been shaky recently, but yeah, he gets in.
If you're based on the last 18 months, it's Mendy without a shadow of a doubt. 3 centre backs.
Rudiger, Silva,
and I'd put in Aspi then for third.
I go Christensen.
I'd put Christensen in. I can understand why you go Azpilicueta, but I'd stick Christensen in. I like Christensen. I think he's going on a free, isn't he, to Barcelona?
Mm-hmm.
25 years old on a free, Barcelona. Shocking, isn't it? Really, it's a good player.
Yeah. To be fair, if Varane was fit and playing all season, I would have said him, but he hasn't been. So you have to be honest. I think
Real Varane gets in.
Varane gets in, but Man United
Varane. No.
Yeah, no. So I'd go the definitely 2 I threw in.
How was Lindelof played this year?
Yeah, sorry.
Probably your best defender.
How was Lindelof played? I was thinking him on the right, but
he's been our steadiest, but I don't think he'd displace Christensen or Azpilicueta, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd probably go. There is an argument for Lindelof, I think. There is, but I only have 2. If I'm being honest, if you're looking overall season, I only have 2 United players in there at the minute.
Yeah, same it.
Yeah. Who do you think of the centre half? You're the Chelsea fans, I suppose. United fans should be deciding that, really.
If you're going the legs, I suppose Christensen, but I'd have no problem with him
but
or Aspie, any of them on the right hand side.
I think for the leadership, I think like for that solid like combination back, I think Aspie gets in for me anyway.
You're talking about legs. Well, if he played a game, we could have had Eric Boye, but he hasn't played a game of football, so we can't even throw him into this argument.
No, you can't. No.
Oh, Scott McTominay does play on the right side of the back three for Scotland there. If you want to throw him in there. Only messing. Yeah, so you're saying Aspilicueta, lads, are you?
Yeah, go Aspie.
Yeah, Aspilicueta, right. Right wing back, that's not debatable. Reece James.
No debate.
No, it's not even a conversation.
Yeah, left wing back, I'd say Chilwell, he's not fit, so
You can't
Alonso.
put him in.
You can't put Chilwell in. No, it has to be Alonso. Like
it has to be Alonso.
So
I go Kovacic.
look how poor that is, though. Look how poor the choice is for left wing back.
Yeah, that we're not even saying Tellez, even that's his best position.
For both clubs. It's terrible.
But fit Chilwell all day, like
Different story. Difference if Chilwell's free. If Chilwell was fit, then you got no choice. You'd put Chilwell in.
Robert Kennedy left wing back.
You are sorry.
Kennedy left wing back.
Oh.
Okay.
Alonso, I suppose. Yeah.
It's like
Alonso.
playing Diego Dallo, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, like midfield anyway. And Paul Pogba's not getting into me. Before Shane Dowdy kills me, Pogba's not getting in here. I just, based off current form, he can't.
Yeah,
he's screaming at the screen now, so he
probably is, but luckily this is pre-record, so he's not screaming at me live. That's
I'm going to check in the group chat.
Yeah, I'll be getting pelters in the group chat later. No, to be fair, look, every other combined 11 I've thrown in, I've thrown Paul Pogba in. If anyone watched this channel, I've always thrown Paul Pogba into a team, but neither Pogba or Bruno are getting into this team, and everyone who's watched this knows I rep the two of them this season. Well, not this season, but every other season I've repped the two of them. Unfortunately, this season they haven't been good enough over the course of the season, so I go Kovacic anyway in the midfield.
100%.
Yeah, undisputedly. And
are you going to stick Fred? No, I'm serious. Like, you're on about Miranda. He's probably our best player this year. Like,
yeah, to be fair, my two, like, he is one of our best players this season. But if I'm looking at return this season for Chelsea, and he's our top goal scorer in the league, Mason Mount would be my other one in the middle, beside Kovacic in the midfield too. Just because the solid thing you have in the back four, Mount has 10 league goals for midfield this season.
I was thinking about leaving him out in my front three, so that's why I'd try and fit him in there, I suppose. Because Jorginho and Kante have been very underwhelming this season. They haven't been great, so there is a space there. So, like, I had two other players in mind for the forward line, so like I wouldn't mind sticking Mount back there. He's played there for England as well, but
if you pick Lukaku or you pick Werner, Havertz, then Mount's going to struggle to get in because he doesn't get into my favoured two in midfield. The reason why Bruno doesn't get into my favoured two midfield is he hasn't tweaked his game. He's going through that syndrome this season where everybody's worked out what he's doing, and it's not rocket science, is it? You know, when Chelsea have got Man United coming up, Kovacic is looking at him and he's looking at various things, various traits that Bruno's done over the last 18 months to 2 years. And if he's still doing those today, it's a very easy afternoon for somebody like Kovacic. So Bruno's biggest issue is his spatial awareness right now. I'm not talking when he's got the ball. I'm not talking about when he's utilising the ball. I'm talking about when he's not got the ball and he's wandering into a congested area rather than stepping aside maybe and having a good 5 yards worth of space to receive it again. That is his biggest problem. Mount's brilliant at that. Mount's great at utilising, delivering the ball and finding space. He's absolutely brilliant at it. But with only playing two, because you play like you say a 3-4-3, with only playing two in the middle, you've got to sacrifice that type of player to get your front three in that you require. So for me, it would, and I think Kante's been underwhelming, but I would play Kovacic and Kante. Kante has been underwhelming. Don't get me wrong. He has been underwhelming.
I completely agree with you, Stu. Given with the formation, like I see where the lads are coming from. If you're playing Mount, you'd have to give the direction of stagger and leave Mount roam up front and kind of if you want to keep Kovacic back. But like
I think Mount's disciplined enough to play in the two. I really do.
yeah.
I think he's disciplined
But
enough.
given that it's a standstill, I put in Kante.
Yeah.
So I would.
Sean, who you going?
Yeah, that was my issue as well, because before random formation, that was what I was thinking of, just the two midfield. But I suppose, look, if you want a bit of safety there, I suppose Kante is the best option. Like you said, Fred is
It's 3
probably
against 1, lads.
No,
Fred is
like I
pretty
see where you're coming from, Keane. I see where you're coming from. Like
So
if you're giving Mount to roam forward, like and even get on the attacking, like I completely agree with you. But as it
And like,
is, I'd stick
Fabregas
Kante
played
in.
in the 3-4-3. To be fair, Matic and Fabregas played the two.
Mount-
Fabregas is on a different level, like
Yeah.
different level.
Mount's play style, actually, he's better now, but he reminds me of Oscar, who used to play for Chelsea. Like, plays as a 10, but he isn't a 10 at all. He's like Bruno. He's
So
better
much
in an 8.
potential.
He's better in an 8. So if you have a 4-3-3 playing Mount deeper, but you had cover that we said we didn't have there, he's very good in as an 8. Like,
Yeah, I probably should have went for Fred now because no Mount doesn't get in. I probably should have went for Fred and Mount would have got in, but look, it's all the one. I've been outvoted. So our midfield 4 then is Reece James, Kovacic, Kante, and Marcus Alonso. Whoever thought Marcus Alonso would be getting into Man United Chelsea combined 11?
It's
If
unbelievable.
it was Luke Shaw of last
Shocking.
season, I would have been fucking all of you out, but no, I was saying
Look,
The fights would have started.
I'd still play Dennis Irwin above Alonso. Today I'll play Irwin above Alonso.
Today's Dennis Irwin.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually agree with that. Now, this is where I know we're going to have the most arguments here.
This is the
Me
scrappy.
and Evan
match,
are
so
going to. I know where Evan lives. This is all I'm going to say straight away. I know where he lives. First of all,
There's going to be war.
I have mine picked already, and
right, my striker is Ronaldo. I don't give a fuck. I'm saying that straight out. Ronaldo.
Yeah, that's mine. He's mine as well. He guarantees you goals. He's mine.
Yeah, he guarantees you goals, and you've them two wing backs whipping in balls. He's scoring 100%.
Tell me this, right? Take out the 3 goals against that. Take out that hat trick, right? Take out that hat trick. Is he still up there? Considering
20 goals
how
this
much,
season.
considering the big games that Havertz has performed in.
Well,
Oh,
my
you
front
really
three. Let me tell you my front three then. Let me, and here's my reasoning: Sancho left, Werner right, and Ronaldo. And I made a point on another channel a week ago: don't write and don't take the piss out of Timo Werner, because he's actually the type of player we could do with at our club right now. I'm not talking about just his finishing ability, because he's had his problems, but his overall play. And if you look at the overall play of Sancho, the second half of the season as to where we are right now, look at the way that Werner's been over the last 8 weeks, has it? Scored something like 4 goals in his last 5 games, 6 games, something like that. Look how busy those two are as wide players, not specific wingers, but as wide players. Ronaldo, perfect for you. And what Ronaldo was doing incorrectly at the very beginning of the season, he was too static. When he gets involved in the play, and you talked to Evan about Lukaku holding the ball, laying it off to the wider players. Ronaldo did that on Saturday, and he hasn't done that all season. If we combine those 3, you'd score goals, and that's my reasoning for it.
Yeah, but like in our game against Real Madrid, I think the losing of the game was taking Werner off. I think we had them. He played 78 minutes. We had them. He was destroying them, and we took him off, and we no longer had anyone that can run in behind, and they were comfortable. They could play the high line and come back at us. So that's exactly what he does. That's why I'd like to keep him next year. Like, I know he can get like a lot of people complaining and everything, but it's like a completely different game plan when you're playing those big games against Liverpool and City. They like to play the high line. If you put him there, it gives them something to think about.
I was just about to say it. Werner's well capable of getting in over the high ball in over the top, and he's well able to get. The offsides might be an issue, just timing the run and all that crack, but he's well capable of getting in there.
Totally agree.
Yeah. I like Timo Werner. Like, he's a very hard-working player, but he's not my front 3.
There's a but coming. There's a but coming.
There's a but. There always is with me. I always like to contradict whatever that next person says. The only reason he's getting in there because I wanted to compromise. Havertz and Ronaldo are both on my team. I've Havertz off the right, Sancho on the left.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Ronaldo up top.
Sancho, Ronaldo, Havertz is mine.
Well, that's a shout. That is Havertz, Ronaldo.
I think Havertz is versatile enough to play anywhere across the front 3. and
That
Sancho is also versatile enough to play on either side, and you've Ronaldo up top. The only other person I was actually thinking of, right, just in terms of service to Ronaldo, was Hakim Ziyech, whipping balls in from wide. That's the only other player I was thinking of that maybe Sancho comes out. But I'm going to go Sancho, Havertz, Ronaldo. I think the fluidity of that front three would be amazing.
I think there's a balance issue there.
Yeah,
There is, but
I agree with Havertz and Ronaldo, but for the sake of it, I'll put Ronaldo up top, right? Now, I've this is a bit biased
you need to
opinion,
eat your
right?
words out,
But
because you
it's
said Sancho will be a flop. You need to start eating
There's-
these words.
I know who's going. I know who's going.
Sean knows exactly, right? So there's so many options off top, right? And because of the formation we have picked, I really can't write him off. There's one game you can write him off on, but it's
What
been
happened to
proven already in the
Stamford
group
Bridge, Evan?
chat.
What happened on Stamford Bridge?
Don't mind that, okay? Look, that's
Okay,
in the
what's
past,
happened
and
since Stamford Bridge, though? Sancho was bald since Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
we'll. That's what I'm saying. Well, given the formation what we have, right? I'll give you Sancho on the right, and it's a very hard for me to give that considering how many players that we have to choose from. But a biased opinion that's coming out on me, and I can't write the man off. I want Pulisic on the left. I want him on the left. I need him.
If this was NHS Pulisic, I'd be like, Evan, I absolutely agree.
I need my little LeBron James of soccer. Like I need
He'll
him.
come off the bench. He'll come off the bench for Alonso, and we'll go absolutely balls to the wall in the second half when we're down. But so he could be the wing back. But no, I think the front three. So me and Sean have said Sancho, Havertz, Ronaldo. Stu has said Werner, Ronaldo, Sancho, and you've said
Pulisic, Ronaldo, Sancho.
Oh,
But it would be a toss
Sean
up
win
between
then?
the Werner and Sancho. But for the sake of the argument, what we picked so far, I'll give you Sancho. I think
Sancho and
that's
Ronaldo
fair.
are in there, and it's just the third option then. So
Well,
I
I think
I think you overlook
We'll
Pulisic.
leave the two lads. We'll leave the two lads debate this one then. So you either have Havertz in there. So wait, sorry, Sancho and Ronaldo in there. So you have an option here of Mason Mount, which hasn't been
I
mentioned.
don't think he gets in there.
No,
I don't think Mason Mount's an option.
No.
Okay, so you have either Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Christian Pulisic, Hakim Ziyech. No one's mentioned.
I don't think Ziyech is an option either. I think being realistic, Werner goes in there, but the biased in me wants Pulisic.
I think Sancho and Ziyech are fairly similar. I don't think the two of them are electric with pace, but they're very creative. So I think it's one or like the other, and I'd have Sancho there.
Yeah. My issue with Havertz, and I haven't, it isn't a biased view. It's just a football opinion. He lacks consistency for me. That's all. He's a wonderful talent as a footballer. He really is, and he's got a lot of development.
Sancho?
No, Havertz is on it.
No, Havertz. He just lacks, in my humble opinion, a bit of consistency. But let's be clear. I don't watch Chelsea week in, week out. So
he's still young though.
Yeah.
That's a point
I'll make. That's a point I'll make. He's young.
It is fair. Like all along, he was very inconsistent, and he put maybe 2 or 3 months together recently where he was 8 and 9 out of 10 every game, and then West Ham today he just didn't turn up. So he was nowhere. He can earn it out, but.
Why I like Werner is because his pace and he's got this. And he'll just run and he will go after it. He's like a little gnat, isn't he? He's just tipping and kipping. He's like a tick, isn't he?
But that's what I'm saying. That like being realistic, Werner should be put in there, given that he's well capable of getting the ball over the top and like you say, his pace and he's tippy tappy. He's able, but like the Pulisic, like, I can't. The biased in me just wants him in there.
So Havertz makes it then. Havertz gets in then, doesn't he?
What's
by
that?
default. Havertz gets in then, doesn't he? By default, by these two, they both picked Havertz.
No, I do get what you mean with Werner.
Being sensible.
If Werner is going in there, I think we have to have Sancho on the right. Werner has to play on the left if he was in there.
Yeah, completely. Yeah,
Sancho can play on
100%.
the right anyway, so
Yeah,
that's
he can.
that's
Yeah,
no
he
issue.
can. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you'd have
absolutely
to have Sancho on the left. Or Sancho on the right, sorry. I
Yeah.
think if you are going, like, being realistic, Werner has to be in there, like, given with the
yeah.
formation.
So what are we deciding on? We're going Werner, Sancho, Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair, and I'm glad I've got my own way.
Pulisic off the bench.
Sean, I'll give you that fiver later, Sean. Okay, just to, but yeah, look, that was very interesting. Combined 11. It's the most I've conceded ever on this channel or any other channel, and it's the most I'll ever concede again. Hopefully next season I have a couple of more players in there when we revise this. Hopefully, says me. But look, we're gonna get a quick start 11 and score prediction in there as well. Still, I'm going to come to you last start 11 because,
Okay.
you know, I'm going to give you some time to think about what shower shit needs to play this week.
Yeah. Great.
Evan, I'll come to you first. Formation and personnel, 1 to 11.
I have a 3-4-2-1.
Okay.
Right. I had two kind of situations picked out, and it was the top three I kind of deciding between, but I decided to go with the second one. I kind of went with. So I have Mendy in goal. I have Silva, Aspi, and Chalobah.
No Sarr, no.
No, unfortunately not. No, as good as he is now, no. There the three I went with James and Alonso on the sides. Then I went with Kovacic and Kante, and then the top three. Then I'd have Lukaku up front, and then I'd have the pace and around, like I was saying earlier on at the start there, with the pace and Werner and Pulisic in on the close tucking in. Like I said, Lukaku would make that path for them, and I can see goals coming.
It's fair enough, and it'd be interesting to see if that happens. I think again for me personally, I hope Lukaku starts, but again, I could be eating my words. There will come Thursday night at about 10 o'clock, and Mark's asking me what went wrong. Lukaku, I could be saying
Lukaku's come back to haunt us.
Yeah, absolutely. Not the Timberland memes I've dished out the last kind of year. Could definitely come back to haunt me. Sean, do you have anything different to Evan?
Yeah. Like, is this what I'd like it to be, or what I think it's going to be?
Whatever you want.
Yeah, because I have good news for you. Kovacic is injured, so he's not playing.
Is he injured, is he?
Yeah, he's out for 2 weeks. He's not back till next week.
Oh, Jesus.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
say it earlier. I didn't want to have you happy the whole.
Oh, cheers, man. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, so look, I'd say Mendy will be in goal. Silva will be the centre of the backs. Rudiger is back, so he'll be on the left-hand side. And I don't know who will be on the right. I suppose Chalobah played well against West Ham, so I'm not sure he might start there. I think it could be him. Alonso will be left wing back. Centre mids, I suppose they'll probably have to go for Jorginho and Kante. I doubt he throws off the Sheik in against United. And then on the right, I wasn't so sure because James was injured against West Ham, so I'm not sure whether he's back or not fully. But I presume because we didn't hear about like the full extent of the injury, it could be just been rested. So I'd stick James on the right, and then the forward three, I think Mount will be in there. I think Werner will be dropped, so I think it's going to be Mount, Pulisic, and I think he'll go with Havertz up top. I said it earlier that I think Lukaku will start after the cameo, but I just don't think he'll kind of be in the team for the rest of the season. But I do think I agree with Evan. I think Pulisic will start.
That front three kills me. I hope it's not that. I hope Lukaku starts. I'm just saying it. I just don't want Werner to start because I know he does roast Tellez if he plays on the right.
Yeah,
I actually don't think Werner will start. I think Pulisic will get the nod.
Either one of them are going to roast Alex Tellez. It's fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Anyway, Stu, you've had time to think.
Yeah, a tiny bit radical, nothing much. But ideally, I'd play Henderson between the posts. If I'm being really honest with you. I'd then go with Varane, Maguire, Tellez, and Amrabat Bissaka. So I'll play 4-3-3. Matic as a holding. I'll then go with Fred and Bruno, both as 2-8s. And then my front three would be Sancho, Ronaldo, and Mata out on the ride wide. But here's the thing: when we're out of possession, we fill the middle to stop
Go
you
the
running
diamond
back.
in possession.
When
Yeah.
we're in possession and we're
We've done that a
attacking,
couple of years ago against them. Yeah.
let's go narrow. So let's put Ronaldo up top, but let's go narrow so we can attack the diagonals a bit better. Chelsea fans will look at it and say, well, Mata's got no pace. It doesn't necessarily matter. matter. It won't be that much of an issue with him not having much pace. What he's got is guile, and we need his guile, because it won't take him long to drop in those 10 or 15 yards if we tuck in when we're in possession. So that's what I would do. He won't do that. We obviously know that, but that's what I would do.
It's a fair shout, even though if I say to Amy that one Matt is starting, there's an uproar in this house.
Yes, there will be. Yeah, there will be. There would be in the fan base.
I'm not. It's not that I'm not a Juan Mata fan. It's just everyone knows my view about his contract. Yeah, I'm not going to go there because people think I have an agenda or something like that, and they'll spin it in a negative way.
Yes,
I'm going to go 3-5-2. I'm going to go 3-5-2. Ideally, I'd love Henderson in goal, but it's not going to happen. I'd have to go David De Gea by process of elimination. I'll go Varane, Maguire, Lindelof, back three. I go Wan-Bissaka and Alex Telles, the wing backs. Then I go Matic, Fred, no Bruno. I go Hannibal Mejbri in the 10. Just simply because his aggression in midfield, his pressing. Do you know, if Chelsea play Jorginho in midfield, he could actually be, do you know, a nuisance kind of man marking job there. And obviously his counter attacking pace, Hannibal, is very good and he's very creative. And like you're talking about needing players to put a shift in, Hannibal will put that in for 90 minutes. Whereas I think Bruno's kind of, I don't know what's wrong with him. He's just mentally, he seems gone. So for me, I'd just go Hannibal in there in the 10 ahead of Bruno. And then my two up top will be Ronaldo and Sancho. Sancho did play as a forward against Chelsea. You know, in the reverse fixture at Stamford Bridge, albeit that was actually in a diamond. But I do think he'd be able to kind of, you know, have that kind of freer role there. He can kind of play off Ronaldo and kind of exploit some spaces between Chelsea centre backs. But yeah,
that's see Ronaldo drop back then, or
no? Ronaldo be a striker, but like I'm on about playing Sancho off him. You know, Sancho can kind of have more a bit of a free role in there, and you can almost kind of go like you can almost put it as a 3-4-3 if, like, let's say if Hannibal wanted to kind of join in. Do you know what I mean? You can kind of dip in out possession, but principally it was 3-5-2. Let's go Hannibal in the 10 in front of Matic and Fred, and then I go Lindelof, Maguire, and Varane as back three. I think as well Maguire plays better in a back three. He's actually much better in a back three compared to a back four. Now, don't use the Liverpool game as an example because that was. Other than that, if you look at the rest of Harry Maguire's performances in a three compared to the Liverpool game, he's been better.
He's been decent. Yeah, he has. Yeah,
he plays there for England in the three, and he's decent in there. I think, but that I think especially if like Chelsea play a Pulisic or a Werner, at least having two other centre backs there could actually help Maguire, as well. You know, with the movement. Let's say if Havertz, Mount are in around there, I think playing a three there could actually help. But yeah, that's my 11 anyway. But yeah, that's my 11. Probably won't happen. Probably be a 4-3-3, and we'll probably have the usuals in there. But yeah, quick fire score predictions just in the panel just before we wrap up there. Stu, what's your score prediction for Thursday?
You know what? It could go either way, this game. It really could. I'm going to go one apiece. I'm going to go one apiece. I'm not sitting on the fence, but it could go either way. I'm going to go one apiece.
That's fair. That's what happened in the last game, so it could happen again.
Yeah.
Evan, what's your score prediction?
I definitely see both teams scoring in this now, but like given the way Chelsea are kind of up and down the past 2-3 weeks, like you see scores like losing 4-1 to Brentford and then going off winning 6-0 to Southampton. Like, it could go completely either way. But being confident, I can see an absolute disaster for United or a masterclass. But I'm going to say a 3-1 to Chelsea.
Massive confidence coming from Evan Fight. Does Sean reciprocate that? What's your score prediction, Sean?
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. First game against you was doing all, like, I thought we just missed a host of chances again. That's been our kind of downfall on the Tuchel, really. But I'm going to go 2-1. I think United will score. I think Mount may bag one, and I think, again, one of our centre-halves will come to the rescue. Either Rudiger or Silva, or someone will get a header off a corner. We've been fairly reliable.
Silva.
Again.
I prayed Silva.
I couldn't cope with that.
Neither can I. Do you know what? Just because everyone's going to draw or win, I'm just going to be different and go for a win, even though deep down I don't think it's going to happen. But I have to be positive, even though if it's toxic positivity, as people say.
Is it though? Because like, I thought it was going to be an easy one against Arsenal. I thought Arsenal would be a write-off, like, but there you go. Like, that's what I'm saying to you. With my mind, it could happen. Like, you'd never know what could happen.
Yeah, that's true. So in that, I'm going to go 2-1 United, and just for Evan, I'm going to go with Jadon Sancho winner. I'll go with Jadon Sancho winner.
Absolute belly flop.
Just for Evan, and just it's not a score prediction, but I'll do a little prediction of Alejandro Garnacho to get about 10 minutes.
Good
on
chance.
Thursday. I'd like to see him get a goal. If not Thursday, definitely start him in the next game. Obviously, look, we've nothing left to play for, so why not? You know.
Yeah, well, if we don't win Thursday, we got nothing left to play for. Period. If we do win Thursday, we're still in with a shout. So Thursday's our make or break, isn't it? That's it.
Exactly, 100%. But look, it'd be interesting to see what happens. And look, 100%. Either way, there'd be bragging rights. Either way. Gene, I know myself, I get messages off Evan and Sean probably at 5 to 10, and Thursday night give me a whole load of abuse, and probably Steve would be there with his popcorn.
Steve always chimes in. Chimes in.
Anything United.
I love it.
Yeah, even though Steve had a Tottenham Hotspur / United crest in the group chat the other day. But look, we leave it there, guys, and thanks very much everyone for tuning in. Do drop in the comments below. Let us know what your score prediction is for Thursday, but also what you think about the protests and also Chelsea's ownership situation as well. And don't forget to smash the like video and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification right below Sean there. We do have more podcasts coming up this week, and also just send our regards to Matt as well, who unfortunately couldn't be here for the Talk League podcast today. We all hope you're well, Matt, and look, we'll see you back on the channel as soon as possible. But thanks very much everyone for watching, and again, we'll see you next week. Thanks very much.